Hi girls, so as I said for homework tonight, I just wanted you to complete this question here on the right hand side. I think some of us had the kind of box created the last day. So the object here itself is going to be kind of broken into two structures. We've got the base piece and then we have the bit on the top. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start with the base piece, okay, and then I'm going to do the bit on the top. A little bit different from how it's done in the DCG solutions, but doesn't really matter what way we go about it as long as we get it done correctly. So anytime you're doing an isometric drawing, what you need to work out is first of all overall lengths, widths and heights. Usually in Junior Cert they would have been given to you, but just for the purpose of today I'm going to track that line across there, top line, and then I'm going to put this guy in here. So what is that? That there is my overall height, okay, but then I have another height here on the outside for that just little piece there, okay, so there's another height, okay, so there's two heights, overall height and then the height of that little bit. Now what I want to work out is what's my overall width. So the width will always come from the plan, okay, so there and there. So that's my overall width. And then what's my overall length? Well, my overall length is going to be brought from between there and there. Okay, pop that in just to have a little reference. Okay. Now you don't have to put those in, I'm just identifying those. So length, width and height, okay, just so we're all aware of that. Now what I want to do is I want to create the box that everything for the plan, or the first part here, is going to fit in, the bottom surface. So that's going to be associated with this height, the correct length and the correct width. So I'm going to take the height from here. You can take the height from the elevation drawing here. Take that guy, mark the height up along the height line. Okay, I'm going to take the length from there to there, and I'll be marking the length going at 30 degrees with my 30 degree set square here. So you can just see there 30 degrees, okay, so 30 degrees out that way, flip it over 30 degrees the opposite way, and that's going to be my width. Okay, so I've taken the length from here out to here. I'm going to apply that to this edge right here. Need to extend it a bit further, but that's fine. Now I'm going to take my width. There we go. Mark the width out here. Once again, I actually just need to extend it a touch further. So there's the width. Same thing with the length. Okay, now that I've that done, little line up, and then using your 30 degree set square from the vertical height, go across, flip it over, okay, and as I said, I'm just going to build that first object. There we go, so there's our little prism, okay, there's our little fish tank. Now what I want to do is I want to actually make this guy here. Now what we're going to do, like we did with the question yesterday, or the other day in class, we're going to split it up into little sections. Now what we did here was what's known as vertical cuts, okay, so just to zoom out there, it's like I did vertical cuts. Because we're working in the plan here, we're actually technically going to be using, they are vertical cuts, but they're kind of going horizontally in the plan, okay, but they are still vertical cuts. That's what I'm going to be using. So it doesn't really matter which way you do it, okay. So just to highlight where the curve actually starts, it starts about here, okay, so I need to identify where does the curve start. It starts, look, I'm going to say about there, okay, that seems to be where it starts. They don't really give us a measurement or anything, girls, so we'll just base it off kind of our site. So I'm going to go say there, I'm just going to do a line across like that, and I'm saying that's where the curve starts, and it makes that kind of, I'm going to say, semi-elliptical portion. Okay, so what I want to do now is I'm going to split it up, okay, and I'm going to go across in increments of, starting here at the left hand side, it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to go in increments of 5 millimeters. So watch, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. I'm going to do the same from the opposite side. So from here, I did 30, so I'll do 30 in as well. There, See the way I'm just going in increments of 5? Now by going in increments of 5, I'm giving myself more work to get points, but just popping those in. Now those vertical cuts, I'm going to start slicing through it. Actually that's really handy that this first cut of 5mm seems to actually go straight through that line, so that's helpful. Later on, all I'm doing is taking all of those guys. Looks like they're nearly there. Probably didn't need these ones, but look, that's just kind of what I went with, girls. Okay, it's like we're just splitting it up. Really handy there, that bit now. Okay, and there we go. There's our little cuts. Now technically all those cuts are going to identify points on the curve for me. So see all those points? Okay, there, and so on. Now technically they're all my points as I work my way around. I do want the one in the middle, so how would I actually get the middle? When I don't know the length of the line, I am going to bisect it. So bisect the line here. You can always bisect the line to figure it out. So you can see how I've done my bisector there. And now that I've got the middle, I'll just pop that in down here. And that's the middle. Okay, not that I'm too pushed about that, but just to give me the exact distance I want. Okay, now just to explain, I'm going to say that this is 1, then I've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, say 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I probably have to give myself way too much work here on how I've done it, but it's absolutely fine. Okay, so what I want to know is that 1 is in line with 15, 2 is in line with 14, 3 is in line with 13, 4 with 12, 5 with 11, 6 with 10, 7 with 9, if that makes sense, because we measured in 5mm both sides. So what I want to do now is I want to divide this bit up here into our increments of 5 as well. So starting here, doesn't really matter, at the back, because that's going to be the back edge, I'm going to measure, just starting with the 30, so measuring increments of 5, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, so that's done there. Same thing going backwards here, 9, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So there's my guys. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop those in like this, just like little 30-degree lines like that. There we go. Now there is one in the middle. We'll worry about that later on. Okay, so there we go. I'm after putting in my kind of lines at 30 degrees. Now, the question is which is where, okay? So 1 is along this, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then there's 8 in the middle there, but 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. How do I find them? Now, essentially, all I'm going to do is take this distance here. If I want to find number 1, I'm going to take the distance for that bit there that I've highlighted. If I want to find number 2, I'm going to take that distance on my compass. Okay, so, and I repeat the sequence. So to find number 1, number 1 is this one here. Okay, that distance there I'm taking on my compass, you can see it there. I'm going to come over here to the edge, that's because that's where number 1 is, and mark it off. Now what is 1 the same as? 15. So go to the opposite side, mark it there. Now I'm going to take the distance for number 2, and I go into the next one. This is the second one in, and the second one in from the opposite side. Okay, now I'm going to take the distance for number 3. So that's why we need a good sharp compass here. Into the third one, and then the third one in as well on the opposite side. Into number 4. And I'll go into the fourth one, and then the fourth one in. Because the object is symmetrical, it'll work out. Number 5, slight adjustments here each time now. Into the fifth one. And then into the fifth one again. Number 6. And keep going in that sequence. Finally, number 7. Here's number 7, getting very close, and you can see it is working out. Okay, and now what I could do to get the one in the middle, I could take the distance from here to the middle. It's the middle. See that distance I got there? And I'll mark it here along this guy if I'm doing it accurately. Close enough. Now that guy, if I just mark it there, should hit on the edge in there. Okay, there we go. Okay, I didn't draw the line fully. But that's it essentially, guys. Okay, there's all our points. Now what I'm going to do is between all of those, I haven't numbered them, but I'm just going to follow that little sketch around. Just put a little dot on each one. These questions are quite fiddly because they're just so small. You need a good sharp pencil to be accurate with them. And it will take time. We'll work our way along. Keep going. And there we go. There's our little curve. Now, how do I get the bottom portion of the curve? It's really simple actually, because this guy here is just going to go down there like that. And what I can do then from all of these points is just do a line down, a line down, a line down, 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 and so on. Okay, and just repeat the sequence from here. Eventually you get to a point where you can't see it anymore, so it's around there. And what do I do then? I can take the height. The height could either be taken from here, it can either be taken from over here, or I could just take it off the drawing, which is probably a little bit more accurate now. Taking that distance down there, just like that, and I'm going to go to each point and mark it off. 1, 2. Need to extend your lines, you might have to, like me there now in a second. And see what I'm doing there. I'll work my way around. See how neat and tidy we have to be. Okay, and there we go. Now the one in the middle, I've forgotten that one, nearly done the first part. The one in the middle, this guy will just come down there, that's going to be there. So I need to extend a couple of these lines now to hit those compass arcs. This one as well. There we go. Now, same principle. From here, sketch through the points. Through there and on. Okay, and there we go. So that there is the first part of it done. I'm just going to use my marker now to go over it. Just make it stand out before we get on to the next portion. Okay. Now, take our time into sketching, working our way around it. Okay, same thing underneath. Okay, and kind of when I get to there, that's where the curve kind of rounds the corner and I can't see it anymore, so we just kind of put in a little line like that. Now I'm not going to heavy in, I'll probably heavy in a touch of this, Not sure how much I'll see, and I don't know how much I'll see there either. Okay, so that's the bottom portion of it done, girls. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the top portion here. So to get that little block in there, we can see it kind of comes from, see this little 5mm line there? So that's where it starts and it ends over here. So quite handy, based on my 5mm increments, just so happens that it actually lines up with it. Okay, so that means technically that guy there, because it doesn't start right in on the edge there, it starts 5mm in, as we can see. So it's actually going to start on this line here and this line here at the back. But what I need to work out is the width of it. So just in green here, I'm going to highlight this, girls. So I'm going to take this distance here with my compass. Okay, that's the first measurement, and the second measurement I'm going to take is that distance. Okay, so those two widths. Bear with me here. Let's just run over. So those two widths are the measurements I'm going to use. Width 1, I'm going to take this guy. You can see it right there. I'm going to mark it in here. It doesn't really matter where I mark it as long as it's along the 30 degree line. So that's the first width. And width 2 is this guy. I'm going to mark it along that line there. Okay, now that I've done that, let's draw in where the base actually would be. So it'll go to there and there. So that is essentially, excuse me, my base. Okay, so that little shape there. Now, it has a height. So what's the overall height of that now? So what I'm going to do, I'll line up, I'll line up, I'll line up, I'll line up. Okay, just to kind of make that little box. But where is the height then? Now the height I'm actually going to take, a little bit of a different height here, I'm going to mark it in green again, is this height. From there to there. So that's the height I'm going to take off my drawing. Take the height of this guy. Okay, and I can mark it on one of them. So I've marked it there. You can see where I marked it from. Okay, now that I've got that, simply go 30 degrees that way. 30 degrees there, 30 degrees there, and with me now. I'll go across there like that then. Okay, and there's our little box for that to fit inside. Okay, so you can see how much I'm able to have in. I actually went in too much there now that I look at it. So now what I want to do is I want to split this guy up. So I'm actually going to split it up into less to give myself a little bit less work this time, girls. I'm going to go, it looks like it's roughly about 60 long there. Starting from the left, I'm going to go and I'm going to measure in increments of 10. So from here at the top, 10, 20, 30, 40, and the 50 seems to hit right there. And what I'm going to do is little vertical sections going down through it again. Vertical cut, vertical cut, vertical cut, vertical cut, and a vertical cut. Now, because I've split it up into 10 over here, I'm going to do the same thing over here in increments of 10. It looks like it is starting there. 10, 30, 40, 50 there. Done it at the back. So what I'm going to do, just a line across there. Probably should have measured them on the front, but same concept. So I'm just going to cross it 30 degrees to bring them down along the front. So they've all gone. Now, what do? I'm going to bring the lines down here. I'm not going the full way because I don't need to go the full way in all of them. Okay, now the measurements I'm going to take for each curve, this one's starting right here, so there is a point right down here in the corner, that point there. Okay, the next distance I want to take, once again I'm just going to mark it in green, is that distance. Then the next one I would take is this distance, this distance, distance, and distance. Okay, now, so with my compass, I'm going to take that distance on my compass, from there to there, okay, and that's the first one in, so this one in, and I mark it down from the top. Okay, then I go to the next one. You can see here hopefully what I'm doing. Taking that guy, I want to go into the next one, mark it down. Just by dividing it up into little cuts and little sections. Taking the next one and mark it down. Then the next one. And at this point it's getting quite hard because it's getting a bit smaller. Okay. Okay, and the very last one here, like that looks like it's about 1 or 2 mil down. So look, I'm going to have a rough guess there. But that's about the same distance down. Okay, so there we go. That's our curve. So from here I'm going to go through all those points up to here. Just literally as best I can. Look at this for kind of your inspiration for the sketch. It's going to go up there. Now it's going to start curving upwards. Into there. Into there. Over. Okay, so a bit of heavying in here now. We'll take our time with that now. Just gonna make little dots on these so they stand out a little bit clearer. So that's the path I want to follow. Nice smooth path. Okay, as you can see I went in a little bit around the edge too far at the back. Now what I want to do is I want to get those points at the back. So the easy way to do that is from the individual points that you found, track a line across at 30 degrees. It's quite hard now because there's kind of lines everywhere on this drawing at this stage. You follow your method. So track those lines across, and I'm going to take the distance from this point to this point on my compass, which is technically, should be that distance right there. Okay, I'm going to check it here. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to mark it from each individual point. Stuff. Okay. Now, once again, take your time with the sketch. It should look like it's flowing the exact same as the one in front. Okay, now I can see how far I can heavy in this back edge. And there we go, and there's no hidden detail. Went in a little bit too far in that bit there, girls, but okay, that's the question done. Okay, now as I said, nothing like that will ever really come up in a leaving cert. Even at ordinary level it wouldn't really come up like that. There's probably too much on curves there, but it's just a pure skills thing there, guys, as you can see, of taking the correct measurements from the elevation and plan here and applying them to the isometric. But that's your homework there, girls. There's quite a bit in that there now, so give it a good go. There you go.